What I'm about to tell you will shake you to your core. A 6-year-old boy named Tommy Mitchell died in a car crash last month. He was clinically dead for 8 minutes. But when he came back to life, he told his family things that were impossible for him to know. Secret family information that had been buried for decades. Hidden truths that only deceased relatives could have revealed. And what he said didn't just shock his parents. It transformed their entire understanding of life, death, and what children really see when they cross over. Tommy Mitchell was supposed to celebrate his 7th birthday next week. This bright, curious first grader from suburban Dallas loved dinosaurs, video games, and asking endless questions that drove his parents crazy in the most wonderful way. He was the kind of kid who noticed everything, the color of people's eyes, when someone seemed sad, why grown-ups whispered in another room. His parents, Sarah and Mark Mitchell, were a typical American family. Mark worked in tech. Sarah taught high school English. They went to church on major holidays, believed in being good people, but weren't particularly spiritual. They saw death as a distant concern, something that happened to other families, to older people, to anyone but their healthy, energetic little boy. That changed forever on a rainy Thursday evening in October. The family was driving home from Tommy's soccer practice. It was 6:47 p.m. Rush hour traffic was heavy and visibility was poor. Mark was being extra careful, driving slowly in the right lane. They were less than 2 miles from home when an 18-wheeler truck, whose driver had fallen asleep at the wheel, crossed the median and slammed into their Honda Accord at 65 miles per hour. The impact was devastating. Mark suffered multiple fractures, but survived. Sarah was knocked unconscious, but would recover completely. But Tommy, sitting in his booster seat directly behind his father, took the full force of the collision. The paramedics later said it was a miracle he survived the initial impact at all. At Children's Medical Center, Dr. Jennifer Walsh, a pediatric trauma surgeon with 15 years of experience, worked frantically to save Tommy's life. Multiple internal injuries, severe head trauma, and massive blood loss. His tiny body had been pushed far beyond what medical science said was survivable. At 9:23 p.m., Tommy's heart stopped beating. For 8 minutes and 17 seconds, this 6-year-old boy was clinically dead. No pulse, no brain activity, no response to any stimulation. The medical team worked desperately to bring him back, performing CPR, administering medications, trying everything in their arsenal. His parents stood frozen in the hallway, holding each other as they watched their world collapse. Sarah kept whispering, "He's just a baby. He's just a little baby." Mark, despite his own injuries, refused to sit down, refused to leave, refused to accept that his son might not come back. And then, at 9:31 p.m., Tommy's heart started beating again. But what happened during those 8 minutes of clinical death would challenge everything this ordinary family thought they knew about consciousness, the afterlife, and what children experience when they die. When Tommy opened his eyes 3 hours later, the first words out of his mouth weren't "Mommy," or "Where am I?" or "It hurts." The first thing he said was, "Grandpa Joe says he's sorry about the money he stole from Great-Grandma Rose's purse before she died." Sarah and Mark froze. Grandpa Joe, Sarah's father, had died when Tommy was only 2 years old. Great-Grandma Rose had passed away when Sarah was a teenager, decades before Tommy was born. But more shocking was the reference to stolen money. This was a family secret that had never been spoken about in front of Tommy, never discussed in his presence, never mentioned by anyone outside of Sarah and her sister. When Sarah was 16, shortly before Great-Grandma Rose died, the family had discovered that money was missing from Rose's purse. Money she kept for groceries and emergencies. The family had suspected Joe, Sarah's father, but it was never proven, never discussed openly, and certainly never resolved. Joe took that secret to his grave, and it had remained a source of quiet family shame and unspoken tension for over 20 years. How could a 6-year-old boy, who had never met these people, know about an incident that occurred before he was born? But Tommy wasn't finished. As the hours passed and he became more alert, he began sharing more impossible information. He told them about his great-uncle Robert, who had died in World War II. Again, someone Tommy had never met and rarely heard mentioned. But Tommy described Robert in perfect detail, including a distinctive scar on his left hand that he'd gotten as a child, information that wasn't in any family photos or stories. "Uncle Robert showed me his hand in heaven," Tommy said matter-of-factly. "He said he got that cut when he was 7, trying to carve a wooden boat for his little sister. That's Great-Grandma Margaret. He never got to finish it because he had to go fight the bad guys." Sarah called her elderly aunt, Margaret's only surviving daughter, to verify this story. The woman burst into tears. "Nobody alive knows about that boat," she whispered. "Robert was always trying to make things for his little sister. He was working on a wooden boat when he left for the war. How could Tommy possibly know that?" Dr. Walsh, the trauma surgeon, documented everything. As a scientist and medical professional, she was skeptical of near-death experiences, dismissive of supernatural claims, and focused entirely on physiological explanations for consciousness. But Tommy's case was different. The information he was providing was too specific, too verifiable, and too impossible for a 6-year-old to fabricate or guess. But the family secrets Tommy revealed were just the beginning. As he recovered over the next several days, he began describing his experience on the other side, with the clear, matter-of-fact honesty that only children possess. "Heaven isn't like the pictures in Sunday school," Tommy told his parents. "It's way, way bigger. And everything is made of light, but not the light from lamps. It's light that makes you feel happy inside, like when you get hugs from everyone you love all at the same time." Tommy described meeting relatives he'd never known existed. His great-great-grandfather William, who had died in 1952, 40 years before Sarah was even born. But Tommy didn't just meet him. William gave him specific information about the family farm in Oklahoma, including the location of a buried metal box containing important family documents. Great-great-grandpa William said the papers are under the big oak tree, 20 steps from the old well. Tommy told his bewildered parents. "He said you need to find them because they prove the farm belongs to our family, not to the mean man who took it." The family had lost the Oklahoma farm decades ago in what they believed was a legitimate legal proceeding. But Tommy's description sent Sarah and her siblings on a journey to the abandoned property. Sure enough, exactly where Tommy said it would be, they found a rusted metal box containing original land deeds purchase agreements, and legal documents that proved the family had been defrauded out of their property through forged paperwork. The legal implications were staggering, but the personal impact was even more profound. How could a 6-year-old boy provide the exact location of documents buried before his parents were born? Tommy also brought back information about living family members that he couldn't possibly have known. He told his parents that his cousin Ashley, Mark's brother's daughter, who lived in California, was very sad about the baby that went back to heaven. Sarah and Mark had no idea what Tommy meant. Ashley was only 19, and as far as they knew, wasn't even in a serious relationship. But Tommy insisted they needed to call her immediately. "The angels told me Ashley needs to know the baby is okay and happy in heaven, and that someday she'll have another baby that will stay." When they reluctantly called Ashley, she broke down in tears. She had discovered she was pregnant 3 weeks earlier and had miscarried just days before Tommy's accident. She hadn't told anyone in the family, not her parents, not her boyfriend, not her closest friends. She was dealing with the grief completely alone. How could Tommy know about that? Ashley sobbed to her Uncle Mark. "I haven't told anyone. I was scared, and I didn't know what to do, and I've been crying every night. But I haven't told a single person." Tommy's message gave Ashley comfort she desperately needed and connected her with family support during her darkest hour. But it also raised impossible questions about the nature of consciousness, the reality of heaven, and what deceased relatives can know about the living. Perhaps most remarkably, Tommy brought back a message from his own great-grandmother Helen, who had died just 6 months before Tommy was born. Helen had always regretted that she would never meet her great-grandson, and according to Tommy, she had been watching over him his entire life. "Great-grandma Helen said she was there when I was born," Tommy told Sarah, his grandmother's daughter. "She said she held me when I was sleeping lots of times, but you couldn't see her. And she said to tell you that the ring you lost isn't really lost. It's in the blue box in the closet under the Christmas stuff." Sarah gasped. She had lost her mother's wedding ring, a family heirloom, several months after Tommy's birth. She had searched everywhere, turned the house upside down, and finally given up, assuming it was gone forever. But following Tommy's specific instructions, she found the ring exactly where he said it would be, in a small blue jewelry box, buried under Christmas decorations in the back of her closet. Dr. Walsh continued to document everything. She brought in colleagues, consulted with neuroscientists, and tried every possible medical explanation. Could Tommy have overheard conversations? Could he have seen old family photos? Could he have pieced together information from fragments of adult discussions? Every possibility was investigated and ruled out. The information Tommy provided was too specific, too detailed, and too verifiable. Much of it related to events and people from before he was born. Information that wasn't written down anywhere, wasn't discussed in his presence, and wasn't available through any normal means. From a medical standpoint, Dr. Walsh admitted to the family, there is no explanation for what Tommy experienced. The information he obtained during his clinical death defies our understanding of how consciousness works, how memory functions, and how the brain processes information. But Tommy's heavenly experience wasn't just about revealing family secrets. He also described the nature of heaven itself in ways that were both childlike and profoundly wise. Everyone in heaven is happy, but not fake happy, like when grown-ups pretend, Tommy explained. They're happy because they remember how much God loves them, and all the people who were sick or hurt or sad when they died, they're not sick anymore. They're perfect again. He described playing with children who had died throughout history, learning from wise beings who had lived on Earth centuries ago, and experiencing a kind of love and acceptance that made earthly love seem pale in comparison. God isn't scary like some people think, Tommy said with the confidence that only a child can have. God is like the best parent ever, times infinity. God doesn't get mad at you for making mistakes. God just wants you to learn and be kind to people. The most profound aspect of Tommy's near-death experience wasn't the family secrets he revealed or the impossible knowledge he brought back. It was how his 8 minutes in heaven completely transformed his family's understanding of life, death, and what really matters. Tommy returned from clinical death with a wisdom that seemed impossible for a 6-year-old. He talked about life purpose, about the importance of kindness, and about death as simply going home to the place where love lives. His perspective was both innocent and ancient, childlike and profound. We pick our families before we come to Earth, Tommy told his parents, with the matter-of-fact tone children use to discuss playground rules. I picked you and Daddy because I knew you would love me the right way and help me learn what I needed to learn. And I knew that if something happened to me, you would be able to handle it because you're braver than you think. This revelation completely reframed the family's understanding of the accident. Instead of seeing it as a random tragedy, a senseless near loss of their precious child, they began to understand it as part of a larger plan, a wake-up call, a spiritual awakening, a reminder of what's truly important. Sarah, who had always been anxious and controlling, found herself becoming more peaceful and trusting. If Tommy chose us, if there really is a plan, if love really does continue after death, she told her husband, then maybe I don't have to worry about everything so much. Maybe I can trust that things will work out the way they're supposed to. Mark, who had been a workaholic focused on climbing the corporate ladder, completely reprioritized his life. He took a lower stress position, began spending more time with Tommy, and started volunteering at the children's hospital where Tommy had been treated. I almost lost my son, Mark reflected. But maybe I had to almost lose him to realize what I'd been missing all along. Success doesn't mean anything if you miss your child's life while you're chasing it. Tommy's recovery was nothing short of miraculous. Doctors had predicted months of rehabilitation, possible cognitive impairment, and a long, difficult healing process. Instead, within weeks, Tommy was not only back to normal, he was better than normal. More compassionate, more intuitive, more emotionally mature than any 6-year-old anyone had ever met. He began showing remarkable empathy for other children who were suffering. During follow-up visits to the hospital, Tommy would gravitate toward other young patients, somehow knowing exactly what to say to comfort them. Don't be scared, he would tell frightened children facing surgery. The angels are watching you, and heaven is the most beautiful place ever. If you have to go there, it's not scary. It's like going to the most amazing playground where everyone loves you. His words brought comfort, not just to other children, but to their families. Parents who were facing every parent's worst nightmare found hope in this little boy who had experienced clinical death and returned with absolute confidence that consciousness continues, love persists, and death is not the end. Dr. Walsh began studying Tommy's case more intensively. She documented his recovery, his personality changes, and the ongoing verification of information he had brought back from his near-death experience. Her findings were published in medical journals, presented at conferences, and studied by researchers around the world. Tommy's case challenges our fundamental assumptions about consciousness and death, Dr. Walsh wrote. The information he obtained during clinical death, the personality changes he exhibited afterward, and his ongoing demonstration of knowledge and insight beyond his years suggest that consciousness may survive bodily death in ways we don't yet understand. But perhaps most importantly, Tommy's experience offers hope to every parent who fears losing a child, everyone who has lost a loved one, and anyone who wonders whether death is really the end. 6 months after his accident, Tommy celebrated his 7th birthday, the birthday his family thought they might never see. During his birthday party, surrounded by family members whose lives had been transformed by his heavenly journey, Tommy made a wish and blew out his candles. When asked what he had wished for, Tommy smiled with the wisdom of someone who had seen beyond the veil. "I wished that everyone could know what I know," he said, "that nobody really dies, that love lasts forever, and that God has the best plans for everyone, even when the plans seem scary at first." Tommy's final message to anyone who hears his story is simple but profound. Don't be afraid to die, and don't be sad when people you love die. They're just going home early, and they're waiting for you in the most beautiful place ever. And until it's time for you to go home too, you should be as kind as you can to everyone, because kindness is the only thing you get to keep forever. Tommy Mitchell was clinically dead for 8 minutes and 17 seconds. What he experienced during that time didn't just save his life. It revealed family secrets buried for decades, provided comfort to relatives in crisis, and offered hope to everyone who fears death. But more than that, Tommy's story reminds us that children see things we adults have forgotten how to see. They're closer to heaven, closer to truth, closer to the love that created us all. The next time you look at a child, your grandchild, any child, remember Tommy's story. Remember that they may know things that will surprise you, see things that will amaze you, and teach you things that will change your life. Tommy almost died to bring us this message. Love never ends. Consciousness survives death, and every soul chooses its journey for reasons far more beautiful than we can imagine. What are you going to do with this gift of knowledge? How will Tommy's heavenly revelation change how you live, how you love, and how you prepare for your own journey home?